the reason we wanted to have this session is there's lots of different things you can do with your used equipment on your site. It's great to have your inventory updated, but there's so many other things you can do to make your used equipment experience better for your users, easier for you to keep up with, and ultimately help you sell more used equipment, which is the name of the game, right? So I want to show you a couple of things on the homepage first before we dive right in. You'll notice that if you have this particular setup where you use the hero search and you've got the search bar and this big title and the 4 call to action buttons, you can add a button that goes right to your used inventory. If you're not using this, if you're using the sliders instead, the hero carousel, you can still create a carousel image that's just a picture of your dealership or your used inventory, whatever you want it to be, and you can still link that to your used equipment inventory with a button. So regardless of what you're using for this hero area, this big image here, you can always use that to add your used equipment and kind of feature that a little bit more up here at the top. We've also got this featured equipment widget here, and you'll notice you can choose between used and new. And so I want to show you how to add inventory to this as well, so you can have featured equipment right here on your home page. So we're going to go over that. And then there's a couple of other things you can do that we'll get into, but I just wanted to show you that you can add used equipment to your home page in multiple ways, and you can give that a lot of real estate so people can see that right when they land on your site. So let's start off in the back end here. I'm going to hop in to my demo site here. And the first thing I want to show you is how to manually add used equipment. So some of you are using either your dealer business system, like CDK, DIS, HBS, Basic, or Charter, to sync with your website, so you don't have to add your used equipment manually. You can also do that if you have the TracTru House API and pull what you have in TracTru House over to your website. But a lot of you use the manual upload, and so I want to show you a little bit. And if you're not, I want to show you how to use it and give you a refresher if you are not familiar with some of the things you can do here. So I'm going to click on Content up here at the top, and then I'm going to click on Dealer Used Machines. It's under this Dealer section here. So I clicked on that, and it brought me here. And I'm going to click on one of these test machines that I made earlier. We'll click this one here. And so I kind of want to go by this, go through this field by field to show you what you can be adding here and kind of the best practices that we found for adding used equipment. So the first thing is your display title, and we even give you an example here. It's the year, the make, the model, and then the stock number, which must be unique. The reason that we tell you to put a stock number on here is that it's completely possible you could have more than one of this make, model, and even to the year it's from, and it's kind of confusing whenever someone sends you a request for a quote, and you're not sure which one of those they were looking at. So it's great if you put stock number here because it helps your customers to identify that piece of equipment they were looking at, and it helps your sales staff because they know exactly which piece that customer's looking at, and they can grab the spec sheets for that, or give them more information or a more accurate quote whenever they get back to them. So that's why we ask, or I guess suggest, that you put the stock number in your display title. Moving down, you'll see there's a description, and this is a big box. You can add a ton of text here, and so I've got just one sentence that says great condition with very little wear and low hours. That's a description, but you can put as much information here as you want. That goes with people that are using the sync as well. We can pull over as much of your description as you're willing to put in your business system. And I can tell you that from a user perspective, the more the merrier. So if you, the more detail you can give here, then the more that people are going to spend looking at that piece of equipment, and the faster it's going to sell. So you can put something like it has very little wear, or it's all of its routine maintenance is caught up. Talk about the hours, talk about the condition of everything. What are the tires like? What is, if it's got an interior cab, what condition is that in? Does it come with extra, if it's an excavator, does it come with extra buckets, or is there any aftermarket modifications made to the machine? All of those things you can add here in the description, and that helps people when they're looking for a piece of used equipment. Then we've got these fields for the year, make, the model, the stock number, the hours, and the price, and if you have the serial number here. So all of those you're asked to put in because these are used as filters on your used equipment page. So if someone's looking for something that's like 2017 or newer, they might add that filter in. Or if they're looking for a very specific model of a Kubota, like a 3350 or a 1880, or an older model like an 1870, they can use these filters to kind of quicken their search to find exactly what they're looking for. So it's a great idea to fill out these as much as possible as well. For the price field, and I know that some people have been asking about this lately, you do not need to put anything with this number. It's just a number on its own. It will automatically add the $sign, and if it needs a comma, it will add that. So no need to add a $sign before your price because it's going to add that automatically, and no need to add a comma because it's automatically going to add a comma. If you add a comma here, it reads it like a different digit basically, and it could add another 0 to your price, which would make it a whole lot more expensive than you were probably bargaining for. So there's no need to format the number, just put it in here as like this, as plain as you would, and it will automatically format that for you when it goes on your website. For machine images, you'll notice I only have one here, but images are just like the description, the more the merrier. Our research has shown that most people are more apt to spend time looking at a piece of equipment if it has at least 5 images. So that's kind of the number to keep in your head, is at least 5 images of a piece of used equipment. And that will help it get more face time on your website with your users, and ultimately helps people convert a little faster to request a quote from you or request a trade value for a piece of equipment if they're looking to trade in for something different. The next thing is the machine location and category. For machine location, when you click select, it only brings up the locations you have for each for your entire dealership. So if you only have one location, that's all that's going to show up here. But if you have more than one location, like I have Irving and Grapevine in my demo site, then choose the one from the list, and that's going to automatically add the phone number. There's like a call us button on the each piece of used equipment, and so this is where that adds the phone number. It adds the email address for this, and it tells the form who to send the quote request to or the request trade value to. So make sure you choose that location here, and even if you have one location, make sure you choose that here so people know exactly where it is and all of your calls to action work on your used equipment detail pages. For the machine category, if you're using a sync, we of course pull this over automatically. So we look for the category, or sometimes it's called the equipment type in your sync, and that's what's added here. But if you're adding used equipment manually, you can kind of set your own categories here, and so you can be as broad or as specific as you want to be. So if you, let me give you an example. So let's say you just want every type of tractor to be under the category of tractors. So that's anything down from like a subcompact all the way up to like a row crop tractor. If you just want all of those lumped in together, then you can just put row crop tractor, or excuse me, tractor as your machine category, and everything will be lumped into that one category. If you want to get more specific and you want to break it out to, like you see here, utility tractors, subcompact, row crop, four-wheel drive, that kind of thing, you can be more specific with your categories as well. When you click select here, I've got a few examples, but you can also click this create new item button, and you can create a brand new category if you need one. So if you've never had a compact tractor until today and you need to add that in and create the category for it, then all you would do is click create new and type in compact tractor and click save, and it will add that as the category for that tractor you were adding. So I've just got utility tractors on here. That's all that I needed for this piece of equipment. And then of course I can publish this once I'm done. So we do that. Now, taking care of your used equipment is really easy as well. If you have a sync, then when the sync runs every night, it will take that used equipment off of your website once it's sold. So there's no real action on your part if you're running a sync. But if you're handling it manually, what I recommend is coming to this page and clicking on the machine that has sold, or maybe someone's just paid a deposit. So I'm going to click this little box next to it. I'm going to click More Actions and Unpublish. That's going to take it off the site. It's not deleted forever this way, but it's not showing up anymore. So what this does is, and the reason I think this is a good idea, is sometimes people pay a deposit on something and it just doesn't work out. Like the financing that they wanted didn't happen, or they just didn't need that equipment, or circumstances change. So I like just unpublishing it until it's completely off the lot. Then you can do a full delete, which you do just by clicking the box again and clicking delete, and that will send it to the recycle bin for you. So that's kind of how I recommend keeping track of your used equipment, just to make sure you're not having to pull this back from the recycle bin, or even worse, you've left it in the recycle bin for 30 days and now it's gone forever and you have to remake something. So just to save yourself from doing more work later on, I recommend unpublishing first and then deleting once you know that it's off the lot. And it doesn't take up any space on your site, so don't worry about running out of space to add machines here. No one has ever done that in my experience using this. So feel free to leave them unpublished, and then if you want to go in once a month and delete all the ones that were sold, that's fine. It's like I said, it's not going to take up more space than needed. So that's a little bit about adding used machines manually, and again, talking about best practices for what you should have for each of your used machines. Also, if you have if you're doing this manually and you want to use your phone, we've got a form we can add to your site. And I know that several dealers have this already, but if you don't, it looks kind of like this. Obviously, this is not my phone, but I've kind of shrunk down the window here so you can get an idea of what the used equipment entry form looks like. I should first say that you're required to have a back-end login to get to this form. And this is just for security purposes. We don't want some random person finding that form on your site and adding a bunch of junk to your used equipment. So the first time you come here, it's going to ask you to log in, and then it'll give you your login, hello, whatever your login ID is here. And then it's basically a fill in the blank exactly the same way you would do it if you were at a computer. You got the title, the year description, make, model, hours, price, the stock number, the serial number. And then when it comes to related images, it's not going to work here because I'm not on a phone. But when you click on select images on your phone, it's going to bring up your most recently taken photographs, or it's going to give you the option to open your camera up and take your own photo. And so you can do either one of those and add that for this piece of equipment. And when you click save, it will automatically bring that piece of equipment onto your site and add it to this list, the dealer used machines list in the back end. So that's a really great thing to do if you've got salespeople that are, a lot of times they're out on the lot more than they're at a desk. And this is really helpful for adding those pieces of new equipment. Or if you've got you've had a bunch of rainy days and all of a sudden you've got a sunny day and you really want to get as many pieces of used equipment photographed as possible and take advantage of the weather, then do that, and you can use this form here to do so. If you don't have this on your site yet, or you don't remember, then reach out to the support staff and we can help you get this all set up and show you how to use it. It's very easy. So that's a little bit about the mobile equipment. Let's talk a little bit more about that featured equipment that I mentioned earlier, this section here where you can add used equipment. So in the back end, you're going to click on Content, and right above Dealer Used Machines is Dealer Featured Machines. You see it right here. So I clicked that, and you'll see a few different things in here. Some of these are things that we added as tests for your site, and they're unpublished, so they're not going to show up yet. Mainly what you're going to see is the new and the used. So I'm going to click on Used, and you'll notice there's two different places where used equipment can come from. We've got dealer entered used equipment here, and there's nothing selected right now. That's going to be equipment that you added manually. So if you're adding equipment manually to your site, you're going to click Select underneath Dealer Entered Used Equipment, and that's going to bring up every single piece that you've added. And you can select them as you need here, or deselect them. If you're using a sync for your used equipment, whether it's your dealer business system or tractor house, you're going to click Select underneath Synced Used Equipment here, and that's going to bring up a list of all of your used equipment that you have from the sink that's available. And then, as you can see here, I've got 3 selected. If I don't want to feature one anymore, I can just deselect it and click done, and it'll take it off the list for me. Or if I want to add another one, I just come here and click the 3rd one and click done. When I've selected everything that I need here and I'm ready for this to be live on my site, all you have to do is click publish, and it's going to add those to your featured equipment list right there on the home page. So it's a very instant change. Now, let's say that you have sold a piece of equipment and it's either come off your site through the sink or you've unpublished it or deleted it from the back end. It's going to come off of here because it no longer exists on your site. So you don't worry about featuring a piece of equipment that you've already sold, because when you mark it as sold or unpublish it, it's going to take it off this list. So you can add a different one if you want and feature equipment there. So that's one way to do it. Another way is you can add a clearance, like you see here. I've got an unpublished clearance account, and or you can, if you call it closeouts or whatever you call it at your dealership, you can add that. And same exact formula. You can click here for your manually entered machines, dealer entered used equipment, or if you're using a sink, you can click here and you can add a few pieces to a clearance tab that would just show up at the top here next to used and new. So that's a great way to use clearance items and use your used equipment inventory to your advantage and show it off a little bit more on your homepage that way. So that's dealer featured machines. Another way to feature equipment on the homepage and all over your site is clicking content and then going to dealer specials right here and adding a special on like closeouts, or maybe people get something for free that's like a service, or maybe some sort of parts discount if they purchase a piece of used equipment from you. You can add that here on the dealer specials. And so I'm going to click on create a dealer special and kind of walk you through what I think you could use this for used equipment. So if you've created a dealer special before, you recognize this page immediately, but if you haven't, you want to choose the type of special it is first. Here's your list: parts, service, and equipment. This is going to be an equipment special, and it's going to say free service for used equipment purchase. We can add a tagline like great financing offers. So we've got our title, we've got our tagline, and in the description we could put something about your get free service when you for a season or two when you purchase a piece of used equipment from us in the next 2 months, or whatever you want to say about that. There's a spot here to add a disclaimer, and so you can set an expiration date here, something like that. Or say, some restrictions apply, see dealer for details. That's kind of the standard thing. But either way, you can. I would definitely add a offer expires or something there, because not everybody is always eligible for financing. So it's good to put something there to kind of cover you. And then there's this dealer special featured, and you can check this box next to it. And what this does is it adds it to your homepage here under current specials. So I've got 3 here now. But if I check this box and click publish, it will add this special to my homepage under current specials. You can add as many as you want to your equipment specials page, but you can feature up to 6 on your homepage. So you can check this box if I want that. And then I can add an image. So if I've got just an image of a piece of used equipment or something like that, just kind of like a cover photo for my special, and I can click publish and I'm good to go. One more thing I want to show you here before we leave the screen is this one useful feature, especially if you've set an expiration date, is click More Actions and then Publish, Unpublish on specific date. And you'll notice it says Date to Unpublish. You can click here and then click in the blank, and you can choose a date to take this special off, and you can even choose it down to the hour. So if at midnight is fine, you can leave it at 0, or if you want to do it at like 11 o'clock at night, you can move it over. But this way, if you set this, you don't have to remember to come back to your site and take down the special once it's expired. You can just leave it here, and it will automatically unpublish this, and it'll be gone off of your site on the expiration date. So I highly recommend using this whenever you're creating a special, like a used equipment special. So that's another way to feature it on your homepage. And then I mentioned doing clearance deals or closeouts. One other way to add those would be clicking on content and clicking on lists, and you can create a list of your closeout equipment. And so I'll let this load for a second. And basically what you're doing here is you're making it really easy on yourself to update a list, and you can put it on several pages. So that's the benefit to creating a list over just updating items on a page, because you have to remember each page that you have to update if you do it individually that way. But if you create a list, then all you have to do is drop the list on each page, and every time you update it here in the back end, it's automatically going to change that on every page that you've put it on. So let me click on create a list item, and let's say Kubota 3350 here. We'll make it a 2017. And you can add, you can even add photos here in the description box, or you can give a quick description or a price. Special closeout price. And put something like $9,000. So I've got this list item here, and you can create as many as you need. So if you want to do a 2016 BX 1870, we can say save big, or we can add a photo of it here. So you've got all these items on a clearance list as well that you can add to your home page. You can add it to your equipment specials. You can add it to your used page at the top so they see clearance first. You can make its own page, like a clearance or a closeout page on your site, and put this list on there. It's very easy to do. As you can see here, it's very easy to keep updated. If something sells, like this 1870 I added on here, I can just click next to it, click delete, and it's off the list everywhere that list is on my site. So one place to update, and I'm good to go. The other spot that you can add, and let me check and see if I have an example, is you could, if you were using email campaigns here in the back end of your site, and every single website has access to create and send email campaigns to a subscriber list. So if you already have a subscriber list, you can import it in here. If you don't yet, then you want to start doing email newsletters, let us know, and we can help you hook those up to your forms that are on your website already. And every time someone fills out a form, they can be added to your subscriber list. So everyone that fills out your service request form, for instance, can be added to a server or service subscriber list, and then you can send them service specials every month or every quarter if you wanted to. You can also add the most recently added used equipment you have to your email templates. And the great thing about this is when you set this up, it's always going to pull those automatically for you. So you only have to set it up once, and then it will automatically update itself every time it runs. So let's see. I've got a few items in here. Here's what it looks like, recently added used equipment. And when they click on view, it takes them right to that page on your site. So that is a great way to feature used equipment when you're sending out these email campaigns every month.